Hong Kong is running out of space, not only for its living, but also for its dead. Nearly 50,000 people die each year in Hong Kong, one of the most densely populated regions on Earth. With the living already competing for space in the world's most unaffordable housing market, local traditions that demand burial of the dead are fading fast. Government regulations mandate a maximum of 6 years at graveyards. After that, the bodies must be exhumed and cremated elsewhere to make space for the newly deceased.
It's Chinese tradition that we return back to the ground. That's why a lot of people prefer that. A lot of the older generation prefer that. But the newer generation obviously now are more accepting that you're cremated. Therefore, they don't mind buying the niche.
The niche is a small space in a columbarium, which is a massive structure with tiny recesses often the size of an A4 sheet of paper to store the ashes of the cremated. The average wait for one, 4 years.
In terms of challenges as of right now would be trying to help families find a niche because you can't buy in Hong Kong, so I would have to make arrangements for them to go to China or maybe go to America as well.
One could bypass the waitlist and try for a private graveyard, but those are few and far between and can cost upward of $100,000, often surpassing $300,000, making it in many cases more expensive to house the dead than the living. Handed over from Britain to China 20 years ago, but running as an autonomous region, Hong Kong's more than 7 million people live in its roughly 400 square miles. Urban Hong Kong has a density of about 66,000 people per square mile. That compares to New York City's roughly 28,000. All of Hong Kong has a density of more than 17,000 people per square mile. In the United States, that number is 86. The number of annual deaths in aging Hong Kong increased from under 25,000 in 1981 to over 46,000 in 2015. That number expected to double to nearly 98,000 by 2064. The share of those being cremated is up from 35% in 1975 to 93% in 2016. And industry experts predict a shortage of 400,000 niches in the next 5 years. Starved for space and with nowhere to put their loved ones to rest, reluctant Hong Kongers are looking at alternatives. Betsy Ma turns the ashes of the deceased into gemstones.
This is my dad. This is the last piece from his body, last piece. Not just a cloth, not just a purse, not just a ring,
Clients are shown catalogs and finished products from which they can choose a style. The ashes of the deceased are then sent off-site, where they're mixed with chemicals and turned into gemstones, sapphires or diamonds, that very day.
I would spend a lot of time to convince my mom. Then she accepted it. She supported me.
Local customs emphasize a physical space where relatives can go to place offerings. At graveyards, those can be left at the grave, but at columbaria, they're burned in a furnace. Offerings include any items the deceased enjoy or might need in the afterlife. With no space to offer actual items, a furnace takes printouts of watches, gold, cash, clothes, and turns them into ash. The government of Hong Kong now provides a website, a place where one can set up a profile of the deceased and give virtual offerings. A new virtual reality startup offers a virtual cemetery, a custom-designed VR world in which you can pay your respects to the deceased. Others are looking at turning a cruise ship into the world's first seaborne columbarium, joining a growing line of people trying to find a way to provide a physical space for family members, especially those younger, to pay their respects. Cindy Chu visits the columbarium to pay her respects to her mother, but says not having children of her own means not having to plan for a physical space for herself.
For me, because I'm single, I don't have to worry about this.